Hello my friends and welcome to the video. Today I've got the long-awaited Dungeon in a Box Box 10 and a few extra goodies they sent along with it. Let's dig in. You're not going to see me rip open the packaging because it came in this box. The reason it came in that box is the last couple, I think I left it in the video, they've actually been sending notes saying we're going to send the rest of your minis that we weren't able to get produced in time very soon, and they did that. So I've got 4 extra minis from months past. Let's start with cracking open the one I am most excited about. So this first one is the Twisted Aboleth from, I believe, Adventure 6. It's the Twisted Demon Aboleth that they were summoning. I really think this looks cool. Physically here, I'm getting a lot more Asian dragon vibes than before. I'm loving all of the little spikes that run down the length of this thing. This is really cool. In addition to that, though, we also got, this is an Undead Merilith. I think that might have come from Adventure 6 as well, but I'm not 100% sure. I think I remember Adventure 5 having to do with some undead stuff. So this might have been from Adventure 5, where it was all of the undead inside of the giant undead Leviathan. We have the Elven Archmage, who is doing this cool, like, fist ground attack thing. I love the little... The minis they are sending are so characterful when they get to make their own, and I'm loving that. I'm wondering how much reusability they're going to have because of that, because this is a very specific type of character, but even with that, like, the level of detail's really good on some of these, and I do think it's going to be good. So I think this guy was from Adventure 9. The box said something about the Far Elves, so I think this was the leader of the Far Elves that you have to fight in the big final climax of Adventure 9. Other thing to note, from here on out the video shouldn't have autofocus on, sorry about that. This last one's a Mermaid Druid. This one looks familiar enough. I thought they had already sent it, but this one also, I believe, came from Adventure 6. And I love the look of this one because it's just this mermaid warrior riding on a wave on the back of a manta ray. It's super cool. So before I even crack into the box, here's 4 really cool minis that I'm going to have to paint before my party reaches these parts of the adventure. Wish me luck. But all of that said, we also have the adventure itself for this month. Let's take a look at what we got in here. Oh, this box was checked by Tim C., a fearsome dragon. Quality control is being done. Let's see. The Twisted and the Greedy. Oh, and this cover is gross. It's some kind of, like, ogre-ish thing. Very much a Saturn eating his children vibe to this thing. Oh, wow. Okay, whatever minis they could fit inside of here also went inside of here. So, some of these minis are from past months. For example, the Spore Drone, which I was very excited for. Where'd I put my knife? This Spore Drone was such a cool look in the booklet art, and I am so glad to have a mini of this. This might actually be making an appearance in a dungeon crawl that I'd like to run separately from this. I forget if it's an official D&D product or if it's something from Cobalt Press, but one of those has a character named Zugtmutoy. It's a essentially fungal dark goddess kind of creature, or demon, but I could see it taking on that Lolth role a little bit. And this is a man in tattered clothes with mushrooms growing out of his eyes. So I love the idea of being able to use that in the adventure. That one came from Adventure 4? I want to say Queen of the Rotting Jungle. I'm pretty sure that was Adventure 4. And I think this warrior beetle was also... It's the same adventure. It's the one where you get shrunk down and go into the woods. I think that was Adventure 4. Oh, this is really cool looking. It is strange to me that this one didn't come with a base like all the other ones did, but that's more just... It doesn't seem to match the style. Not really a complaint, just a, huh, interesting. Oh yeah, that is super cool. Kind of a rhino beetle with kind of a tent on its back. I like this a lot. Then we have the minis that I think are coming with this month, like Willow Green Ivy, the Witch, from the Reaper Bones line. Personally, I'm a big fan of Reaper Bones. I think they're some of the best stuff you can get for the price. 400 subs. They're not paying me to say this because no one pays me to say anything at 400 subs. All right, let's get that 100% clear. But yeah, so she's leaning, oh no, not leaning on a stick. She's holding a spear in one hand, holding a witch's hat in the other, and very much just a, try it kind of pose. I like that. And then, okay, Nolzur's Magnificent Miniatures. Also a really good product line. Priced a little bit higher than what you get with the Reaper Bones, but I think slightly higher quality, not quite enough to offset the price difference for me usually, but hey, to get it thrown in for free with what I was getting anyway, sure. So these are just a pair of hags. This is a very classic hag, just in a kind of pose. And this one is much more, there's kind of a Teodalma look to it. It's holding a skull with a spine coming off, so that's kind of Mortal Kombat-y. I want to say maybe Tiefling, but I can't 100% tell if those are horns or not, or if that's just part of her headdress. Okay. I'm just going to show you what my desk looks like. I know I usually save the minis for the end, but look at this. That heap of miniatures turned up this month. I've got some painting ahead of me. I'm looking at this thing with the giant mouth and thinking, oh, that looks like... Oh, who's the famous guy who did all of the insane depictions of, like, religious art back in the day? Hieronymus Bosch. I see some crystalline creatures. There you go. Copyright distinct, definitely not a beholder creature right there. Looks like a gibbering mouther, a witch. Ooh, I think they threw a flesh golem in here. Okay, so witches and abominations and eldritch horrors. The witches are a surprise this late in the campaign, actually, because they've been escalating so well. I'm surprised they've gone back to witches, but played right, witches can be a threat, even late campaign. So there's some mini bases, not going to have to say much about those. Envelope full of stickers. You get a scrying pool or a dragonfire furnace. Both of those sound neat. See the buildable bit. Hopefully I can follow the instructions online. They've been getting better about that all season, I guess they call it. The year's worth of things. They did 2 seasons of this before I started. I can't speak to what the quality of those was, but I've watched the quality of their instructions for building these drastically improve in the almost a year I've been hitting these, so that's been good. Alright, definitely a icy looking blue cave system. That's neat. And that's everything we've got in the box. So I'm going to figure out how to build this. I'm going to read through this and I'm going to tell you guys what I think. Alright. Well, I took some time to go over this. I'm wearing a new shirt indicating that time has passed. And this one is interesting. One of the things I really, really like about this, and it's what I also really enjoyed in Roar of the Blazing Isles, adventure number 2. This feels like a locale with history, right? And layers of history. I don't want to give away too much, but there are these creatures that predate the threat that you're facing in this adventure, and they're just a fun little way of doing creatures that live in this strange quasi-other plane. Like, this is really the bleeding edge of the material plane, and they do a lot to make it feel that way. This adventure gets very dark, I think, and a lot of that has to do with the themes of greed and a self-destructive level of greed. The other thing I really noticed about this, a lot of the adventures up to this point, it's kind of been in the back of my mind of like, ooh, this is kind of dangerous. How am I going to handle it if one of my players dies? This was the first one I read that made me go, there's probably going to be a character death in this adventure. And some of the places where the character death is most likely don't immediately, to me, seem like they'd be satisfying, climactic places and ways for a character to die. There's a big subplot that really much feeds into the trope, the classic mythos of like the Fafnir, of you will destroy yourself if you are greedy. But the way that it's handled, I don't want to spoil anything. The way that it's handled, it feels like the normal way that a party would approach a problem, right? And the way that a party could approach a problem to be reasonable, pragmatic, right? And not, oh, I need all of the money and I need it now. Okay, if you're familiar with Dead Money, right? You've got the big moment at the end with the gold bars and you have to decide how many you're going to try and take out. And if you try and take everything, you will die. This has a moment that's supposed to feel like this, but it feels more like Tomb of Horrors, where it's a trap, and it's a trap that just immediately like overwrites character agency in a way that it doesn't really feel like, oh, if you're too greedy, you're going to be trapped. It feels like if you try to loot at all, the magical greed will take you over. And it's not really, as far as I can tell on one read through, it's not really telegraphed super well in the first read-through, right? Subsequent read-throughs, and as I get more used to their style, that might change. But I don't feel on first read-through that it is super telegraphed well that, hey, if you take anything, you could end up buried here. And so that moment feels like it could be very unsatisfying if that becomes where a character dies. But all of that said, I've gotten to run the first half of Adventure 1, and I was so super impressed with it that I'm reserving harsh judgment when I see something that makes me go, hold on, wait a minute. I'm not going to come on that super harsh because that first adventure had things that were really, really well thought through in the design that weren't evident in how well thought through they were until I had run it. So because of that, I have been impressed enough by these guys in the past, I'm reserving judgment, and as I get closer, I think parts of this that maybe aren't clicking right now will click better, as one, I kind of get to know my party a little bit better, and two, I kind of figure out Dungeon in a Box's style a little bit better. So with those caveats said, I do really love the theme of this. It's hags who take in witches and sort of experimentally transform them into more hags, and they're doing like these weird experiments where they're stitching together all these sea creatures into monstrosities, and it's super cool. I love the theming, I love the tone. Couple of story decisions where I could see unsatisfying ends to a character's journey, which again, maybe as I get closer to running Adventure 10, because like I said, I'm halfway through running Adventure 1. I'm still learning these guys' style, right? And as I learn their style more and get closer to the time when I'll actually run this, I'm thinking more of it's going to click and I'll be like, oh, that's where I was going with that. That's where the story was headed. Got it. On, in it, ready to go. So, a little bit of concern, but not too terribly concerned. And I'm just loving looking over at my desk and seeing this collection of minis that I got sent this month. It is so cool to have just the whole box turn up in one go like this. So I'm loving that. And overall, I think the theming of this and the story elements of this definitely outweigh the few reservations that I have about how it's actually going to play out in practice. So all of that said, super excited to one day eventually get to this. We'll see when that happens. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Please share the video with a friend or several friends, and let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see me draw in a future video. Later, y'all!